What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. In today's video, I would like to talk about Grady Jarrett. But if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you'll know when I've done Atlanta Falcons content. Hit that like button for your boy. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys for your continued support and continuing to share out my content on all the social media platforms. If you would like to follow your boy on Twitter, you can follow me at Jew Talk Sports. If you would like to donate to my channel, you can donate to my Cash App, which is the $ Jew Talk Sports. And if you would like to be a part of my Jew Talk Sports membership, you can hit that join tab here on the channel. But with that being said, let's jump right into the video. So as I mentioned in today's video, I do want to talk about star defensive lineman Grady Jarrett and how this NFL draft could affect Grady Jarrett long term with our Atlanta Falcons moving forward. So as we know, Grady Jarrett is the son of star linebacker and former Atlanta Falcons Jesse Tuggle, the Hammer. And he played his full career, Jesse Tuggle, with our Atlanta Falcons, 10 plus seasons. And I do think that Grady Jarrett could possibly follow in his father's footsteps and possibly end his career as an Atlanta Falcon. But I do believe this NFL draft is going to play a huge part in if Grady Jarrett decides to stay with our Atlanta Falcons moving forward. As you may already know, this is Grady Jarrett's last year currently with our Atlanta Falcons under contract. He will be an unrestricted free agent next season. And the Falcons were working on a long-term deal with Grady Jarrett, but they weren't able to come to an agreement on a long-term deal. So I really think that this draft is going to be huge in Grady Jarrett's decision of whether he decides to stay with our Atlanta Falcons or whether he decides to test free agency next season. I do think that it's extremely important that the front office and Terry Fontenot and Arthur Blank and all of the guys in that front office in this draft, it's important that they bring in a running mate for Grady Jarrett. And I think that player is Jordan Davis, as I talked about, out of the University of Georgia. He's a guy that's a true defensive tackle, 6'6", 300 plus pounds. And he would be a guy that can come in this 3-4 defense and be that guy that can plug up the middle and allow Grady Jarrett to do what he does best. Grady Jarrett is not a traditional defensive tackle. He's more cut off the cloth of an Aaron Donald, where he's more of a 3-tech, which means he's more of a pass rush defensive lineman or nose tackle, more than just a guy that sits in the middle and basically stops the run and basically takes on double teams to free up other guys to get after the passer. So I definitely think that if the Falcons don't draft a Jordan Davis or they don't bring in a dominant defensive tackle that can help out Grady Jarrett, I could easily see Grady Jarrett either wanting to be traded or possibly leaving next year in free agency and signing a big deal with another team. As we're seeing in the NBA and also in the NFL, great players want to play with other great players. And Grady Jarrett and the Atlanta Falcons have experienced 4 straight losing seasons since 2017 was the last time that we made the playoffs. And great players want to play in big time games. And Grady Jarrett hasn't had the opportunity the last 4 years. He's been on some of the worst defenses over the last couple years. And Grady Jarrett really hasn't been able to get the shine that a lot of the other players like the Aaron Donalds, like the other dominant players in the league are being able to get. Even though I think that Grady Jarrett is one of the star defensive players in the league. Now, he did make 2 Pro Bowls back to back in Grady Jarrett, but he still doesn't get the credit that he deserves because he plays on a porous defense. So I definitely think that this draft is going to be huge, and Grady Jarrett's decision of whether he decides to stay with the Atlanta Falcons or whether he decides to move on. I feel like if the Falcons draft Jordan Davis, somebody that can take the pressure off of Grady Jarrett, somebody that will allow Grady Jarrett's sack numbers and tackles for loss numbers to go up this season, I think that Grady Jarrett could possibly stay with our team. But if they don't go in and address the defensive line, meaning bring in more edge rushers and bring in a true nose tackle or a true defensive tackle in this 3-4 defense, I don't think that Grady Jarrett likes playing the role that he had to play last season. And that's why we kind of seen Grady Jarrett's numbers dipped last year because he pretty much played the defensive tackle position where he was taking on double teams and triple teams. And we've seen his numbers pretty much taper off last season. And I think that Grady Jarrett is frustrated. I do think, and he hasn't stated this, this is just my personal feelings. I do think that he's frustrated. And I do think that he wants to play for a winning organization. When he came in early, the Falcons had a lot of success in 2016 and get into the Super Bowl. And once players taste winning, and once players have played, in big time games and played in Super Bowls and things of that nature, especially because the Falcons didn't win the Super Bowl, I believe that burning desire in Grady Jarrett to get back to that stage, being that he's a guy who's been mentored by Ray Lewis, who's somebody he's really close with, he wants to play on that level and play on great defenses like a Ray Lewis and be able to possibly be a future Hall of Famer. So I definitely think that it's going to be important for the Falcons this season or in this draft to go out and bring in more defensive help. So Grady Jarrett does decide to stay with our team. I do think that Grady Jarrett is a star player. I do believe that he is a centerpiece for a defense similar to an Aaron Donald. I don't think that he's as good as Aaron Donald because I think Aaron Donald is arguably the best defensive lineman or one of the best defensive players in the league. But I do think that Grady Jarrett is a Pro Bowl, multiple Pro Bowl type player. And I do believe that he has a chance if you build around him and make him the centerpiece and you add pieces similar to what the Rams did with Aaron Donald, with bringing in Von Miller, bringing in Jalen Ramsey, bringing in and signing Leonard Floyd and then extending him. I think if the Falcons do the same thing in this draft, they bring in a Jermaine Johnson. They brought in Lorenzo Carter in the offseason. And if they continue to build around him, I could see Grady Jarrett possibly being the centerpiece and being that leader on the defensive side of the ball. But if the Falcons continue to bring in, 1 year type players and they don't build, bring in those blue chip elite defensive type talent on the defensive line, I could easily see Grady Jarrett being disgruntled, and I could easily see him want to, be traded or possibly leaving next year in free agency. So I definitely could see a reason that may be one of the reasons why Grady Jarrett decided not to sign an extension, to see what the Falcons are going to do moving forward, meaning in this draft, and to see if they're going to bring in those upper echelon type players in the draft, and also next season when we have the money in free agency, to see if they are able to lure some of the better defensive linemen and better defensive players to this team. If the Falcons are not able to bring in any big name splash guys in the draft or next year in free agency, I could easily see Grady Jarrett, leaving the Falcons and going to another team, a team that may be on the brink of playing in the Super Bowl. But I do think that Grady Jarrett, like I mentioned before, is a guy that the Falcons should try to build around. I definitely think in this draft, it would bode well for us to draft Jordan Davis, or bode well for us to bring in more defensive line help and more guys on the defense to make Grady Jarrett, to make him happy, and also to make our defense more competitive. Because last season and for the last couple seasons, the Falcons have been one of the worst defenses in the league. Last year, we were the worst team as far as sack numbers. We only had 18 sacks, which was the lowest number in the league. And that's one of, those numbers will make a star player, like a Grady Jarrett, not want to be a part of the organization, especially because a lot of the players that we've had here have moved on, like the Foyers, the Devondre Campbells of the world. A lot of the guys that we couldn't afford to pay that were on that Super Bowl team have left that locker room. So a lot of the relationships that Grady Jarrett was able to build with those players means a lot. And now since a lot of those guys are gone, I could see Grady Jarrett maybe wanting to move on to greener pastures if the Falcons don't bring in more defensive help. But with that being said, you guys let me know what you think of the video. You guys let me know if you think Grady Jarrett will sign an extension with the Atlanta Falcons. I definitely think that there's a chance, but I believe that Grady Jarrett is going to hold out and wait and see what the Falcons do moving forward in this draft, and first see if they decide to bring in more defensive talent to build around him. But with that being said, this has been your boy Jew. I'll holler at you guys in the next video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. Peace.